The only thing is that we don't have to go under completely. We don't have to wait for that moment. Let's change and let's go and be more open and go back to this kind of like a big tent idea of Ronald Reagan. And I think this is why we have helped it to some extent here in California with the, getting rid of gerrymandering and to do redistricting reform and to have open primaries.
Independents are about to overtake Republicans in California. What can California do differently?
I think independents are going to take over the Republicans, they're going to take over the Democrats also.
What happens when two egomaniacs with bad hair get into a political slap fight? We're about to find out, and it's not pretty, folks. Arnold Schwarzenegger just hit Trump harder than a T-800 punching through a brick wall. He's comparing the Capitol riot to Kristallnacht. That's some heavy stuff coming from a guy who used to flex his pecs for a living. Is this the plot twist America's been waiting for? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Remember when Arnold and Trump were besties? Yeah, those days are as gone as Trump's natural hair color. Picture this. It's 2004, and Arnold's at the Republican National Convention, cracking jokes about Trump's infamous do. Everyone's laughing, and you just know Trump's probably fuming under that golden mop of his.
As an immigrant to this country, I would like to say a few words to my fellow Americans. President Trump sought to overturn the results of an election, and of a fair election. President Trump is a failed leader. He will go down in history as the worst president ever. The good thing is that he soon will be as irrelevant as an old tweet. Very aware of Kristallnacht, or the night of broken glass. It was a night of rampage against the Jews carried out in 1938 by the Nazi equivalent of the Proud Boys.
But fast forward to 2016, and suddenly Arnold's singing a different tune. He drops a bombshell, announcing he can't vote for Trump. You can almost hear the record scratch. Uh-oh, looks like there's trouble in the land of spray tans and muscles. Now, Trump being Trump, he doesn't take this lying down. Oh no, he's got Twitter fingers, and he's not afraid to use them. Instead of, focusing on running the country or learning how government works, he starts tweeting about Arnold's Celebrity Apprentice rating, because that's totally what presidents should worry about, right? I mean, who needs to deal with boring stuff like the economy or foreign policy when there are TV ratings to obsess over? But our Austrian oak isn't about to let Trump have the last word. Arnold fires back, telling Trump to focus on running the country instead of obsessing over some silly TV show. Burn. It's like watching two bodybuilders flexing at each other, but with words instead of muscles. As Trump's presidency rolls on, Arnold's criticism gets louder and louder. It's like he's got a megaphone and he's channeling his inner Terminator. You can almost hear him saying, "I'll be back."
This is very dangerous. It's a wake-up call to let people know that you have to take this seriously, not just like, oh, let's get those right-wingers, let's put them to jail and all of this stuff. No, this is much more than that. Why was it that way? What powers do people have that are really upset and angry at government? So it's not, that alone would not drive anyone to Washington. I think there was just such an unbelievable dissatisfaction.
With more sick burns in that iconic accent of his. It's like he's traded in his action movie catchphrases for hard-hitting political zingers. Arnold's transformation from Trump supporter to democracy's last action hero is something to behold. He's wielding his sword against the Orange Menace, and it's quite the spectacle. It's like watching a real-life political action movie unfold, with Arnold as the unlikely hero we never knew we needed. By the end of Trump's term, their friendship is deader than Trump's chances of winning a Nobel Peace Prize. It's a classic Hollywood breakup story, but instead of paparazzi photos, we get angry tweets and viral videos. Who needs soap operas when you've got these two? You thought Arnold's movie fights were intense? Well, grab your popcorn, folks, because the Governator just unleashed a verbal smackdown that makes his on-screen brawls look like a pillow fight. When the Capitol riot went down, Arnold decided it was time to flex his political muscles, and boy, did he deliver a knockout punch.
They hired a big movie star, Arnold Schwarzenegger, to take my place. And we know how that turned out. The ratings went right down the tubes. It's been a total disaster.
Arnold, I have a great idea. Why don't we switch jobs? You take over TV, because you're such an expert in ratings, and I take over your job, and then people can finally sleep comfortably again. So being from Europe, I have seen firsthand how things can spin out of control. I know there is a fear in this country and all over the world that something like this could happen right here.
Picture this. Arnold, probably wearing his I'll be back bathrobe, fires up his camera and drops a video that hits harder than a Terminator uppercut. He goes full-on kindergarten cop on Trump, but instead of teaching kids their ABCs, he's schooling a president on the basics of democracy. Now, Schwarzenegger doesn't mess around. He compares the Capitol riot to Kristallnacht in Nazi Germany. That's like comparing a stubbed toe to getting kicked by a T-Rex. It's a heavy comparison, even for Mr. Universe. But wait, there's more. Arnold shares a story about his dad, who was in the Nazi party. He's basically saying, listen up, you dummies. I've seen this bad movie before, and the sequel is even worse. Then comes the real hasta la vista baby moment. Arnold calls Trump the worst president ever and a failed leader. Ouch. That's gotta hurt more than getting your hand crushed by a Terminator. It's like Arnold took all his action movie one-liners and weaponized them for politics. But the Terminator wasn't done yet. He warned about the consequences of lies in politics, saying, I know where such lies lead, and I'm not going to let that happen again.
You famously said that the Republican Party has a problem at the box office. I heard you equate the GOP with the Titanic. Explain.
The reason why I said it was because their policies were such that they were not really including everybody. And we were losing them because we were not addressing those issues. So I was telling them, I said, look, the way you're going, by being so healthcare reform and being so anti-environment and stuff like this, we are losing and we are dying at the box office.
It's like he's trying to prevent Judgment Day, but instead of killer robots, we're dealing with killer misinformation. And boy, did people listen. The video spread faster than Trump's spray tan in a rainstorm. It was everywhere, probably even made its way into Mar-a-Lago's golden toilets. People were sharing it like it was the last slice of pizza at a frat party. It's like Arnold found the cheat code for going viral, and he used it to dropkick some truth into the internet. This wasn't just another celebrity rant. This was Arnold, the guy who used to be buddies with Trump, the former Republican governor, saying, enough is enough. It's like watching your favorite action hero switch sides mid-movie, but instead of joining the bad guys, he's joining the Let's Save Democracy team. Well, folks, it looks like the Terminator and the Trumpster are still duking it out in the political arena. This back and forth between Schwarzenegger and Trump's team is turning into a never-ending arm wrestling match with democracy as the big prize. Talk about high stakes. But here's where things get really wild. Some predict that future showdowns between these two might get even crazier. Imagine Trump trying to prove he's tougher than the Governator. Picture this. Trump attempting to lift Conan's sword. Now that's a sight that would make even the most serious political pundits chuckle. So grab your protein shakes and your MAGA hats, because this political soap opera is far from over. Will Arnold's viral takedowns be the plot twist America needs? Or will Trump's tweets win the day? Either way, we're in for one heck of a show.